Welcome to Bellinger Nature Films. Today we're delving into the mucky world of mangroves, which are a remarkable type of wetland. They're a wetland which relies upon salt water, what's called an estuarine wetland, meaning that they live around our estuaries, which are the coastal parts of our rivers. And in front of us here we've got two different species of mangrove. We've got the grey mangrove, which are the really tall ones, and these little dwarf hedgy mangroves, which are the river mangrove. On the upper side of the mangroves is an area of what's called salt marsh, which is another very important estuarine or saltwater wetland. Here we are at the lower edge of the mangroves with these incredible pneumatophores, these twiggy roots that come up, these aerial roots that come up from below the mud, and they help the grey mangrove to breathe because within the mud there's not much oxygen. It's what's called anoxic or anaerobic, and because of that, that's why you get a bit of the rotten egg gas smell around mangroves, which is different sulfides, different chemicals that are made when it decomposes without oxygen. So these pneumatophores come up above the water and they help these grey mangroves to breathe, to remain alive. And you see out here there's this fringe of mangroves on the edge of the creek, and these mangroves are incredible. They're such an important part of our fisheries. They provide nursery habitat for maybe 3/4 of our commercial fish species. They also lock up lots and lots of carbon, so they're really important to our life support systems and to avoiding global warming. So I'm down in the mud with these beautiful grey mangroves, some of which are quite old, and I can hear all around me the popping and the cracking of the semaphore crabs that live in the little holes amongst the roots. And because the tide's lower, we're on an exposed mud flat here. And what mangroves are really good at doing is protecting our shorelines and capturing soil. So when dirt washes down a catchment, when soil and sediment comes down a catchment, it often settles within these mangrove wetlands, within these mangrove forests. And that locks up really important nutrients, and it also stores carbon. So these really beautiful mangrove areas are really important for the health of our catchments and for drawing carbon down out of the atmosphere and storing it. It's kind of what some people are starting to call blue carbon, wetland carbon. And our mangroves also, because they line our shores, they can protect us against extreme events like storm surges and big cyclones. They literally armour our shoreline. So we really need to look at protecting our mangroves. This is a fascinating recent find. I've been coming into this mangrove wetland since about 1986, so 2022, goodly while now. And we'd always thought there were just two species of mangrove here, the grey mangrove, which is the canopy around us, and the river mangrove, which is the hedge further up. And a couple of years back I was kind of looking across and it's like, oh, there's something different there. And this is the black mangrove, Bruguiera, which isn't particularly common in these parts. We're actually in the Solitary Islands Marine Park here, part of the southernmost catchment, the Coffs Creek catchment, and it's a nationally significant area for its marine biodiversity, and these mangrove swamps really keep the fisheries going. There's a lot of the baby fish live their lives in these mangrove swamps. It's a nursery habitat, and this black mangrove wasn't known in this area of the marine park until couple of years ago when I first saw it. This will get quite a bit bigger. It's very, very different to the other two species of mangrove, with very glossy leaves and these very distinctive flowers and fruit. They're just the flower buds at the moment, but it's amazing that within a couple of years of establishing here it's already reproducing. And it's highly likely that as global heating continues to happen, that these more tropical mangroves that live further north will migrate southwards. And that's probably what we're seeing here with the recent colonisation of this part of the Solitary Islands Marine Park by the black mangrove. Beautiful. As well as being really amazing fisheries habitats and stores for carbon, mangrove forests are really remarkable because these grey mangroves can get quite big and they produce hollows. And this has got a big pipe down the middle and there are some bigger tubes further up. And mangrove wetlands have lots of insects, lots of invertebrates, lots of midges, lots of mosquitoes. And these big tree hollows are homes for the microbats, so the little tiny echolocating bats which fly around, and some of them can eat a significant proportion of their body weight in midges and mosquitoes in a day. So they're a really important part of these mangrove ecosystems, these beautiful saltwater wetlands. And there are many species that live around here of these microbats. So they're a sign of a healthy ecosystem where there's food and there's shelter in terms of hollows for them. So we've really loved you joining us on today's adventures in the mangrove wetlands. We really love telling stories about life. Our mission is about life and about bringing about a future absolutely brimming with life. So thank you for joining us. Please like and subscribe, and we look forward to you joining us on our next adventure with Bellingen Nature Films.